Every night, in a crowded city subway station, an old man sat quietly beside a worn-out piano. People hurried past him without even looking. Some dropped a few coins into the small metal cup near his feet. Most didn't notice him at all. To them, he was just another struggling street musician trying to survive. But what nobody knew was that this quiet subway pianist had once played in the greatest concert halls in the world. He used to perform before thousands of people. His music once echoed through grand theaters across Europe, Asia, and America. Crowds would rise to their feet in applause. His name was printed on posters, and tickets to his concerts sold out weeks in advance. He traveled on private jets, stayed in luxury hotels, and earned more money in a single night than most people could imagine. His name was Victor Moretti, and at the peak of his career, he had everything. But success often brings temptation. Victor trusted a close friend to manage his finances while he toured the world. This friend introduced him to glamorous parties, expensive nightlife, and high-stakes gambling. At first, it seemed harmless. "Relax," the friend would say. "You're rich. Enjoy your life." Victor believed him. Little by little, the gambling grew larger. The parties became wilder, and the money slowly began to disappear. By the time Victor realized what was happening, it was already too late. The man he trusted had quietly drained most of his fortune. Soon after, authorities in the country where Victor was performing launched an investigation into unpaid taxes and financial irregularities connected to his accounts. His bank accounts were frozen. His properties were seized. Everything he owned in that country was taken. Victor went from living in luxury to having nothing. No money, no home. And worst of all, no way to return to his country where his wife and young son were waiting for him. Back home, the government had also taken much of the wealth he had left behind due to tax violations connected to his finances. His family lost everything too. Victor was trapped in a foreign country, ashamed and completely broke. Years passed. The world forgot about the famous pianist, and Victor slowly became just another face in the crowd. Every night he played the subway piano, not for applause, not for fame, just for the coins strangers dropped into his cup so he could eat. One evening, after a long day at work, a tired office worker named Daniel stopped in the station. He heard the music before he even saw the man playing. The melody was beautiful, powerful, emotional. It didn't sound like the music of a street performer. It sounded like something from a concert hall. Daniel stood there listening long after everyone else had passed. When the song ended, he placed some money in the cup. But instead of walking away, he asked a simple question. "Where did you learn to play like that?" Victor looked at him quietly for a moment. Then he told him everything. The fame, the betrayal, the gambling, the downfall, and the family he hadn't seen in years. Daniel sat there in disbelief. How can someone this talented be forgotten in a subway station, he wondered. That night, Daniel made a decision that would change Victor's life forever. Without telling him at first, Daniel signed Victor up for a local television talent show. When Victor found out, he refused. "I've already ruined my life," he he said quietly. But Daniel looked at him and said something Victor would never forget. You didn't lose your talent. You only lost your direction. On the night of the audition, Victor walked onto the stage with shaking hands. The judges expected just another amateur performer, but the moment his fingers touched the piano, the entire room fell silent. The music was powerful. It was beautiful. It was the sound of a man pouring years of regret, pain, and hope into every note. When he finished playing, the audience rose to their feet. Victor didn't just pass the audition. He won every round of the competition. Soon the world noticed the subway pianist who once played for coins. Record labels called. Concert offers arrived. And within a year, Victor had signed a major record deal. But the success meant only one thing to him. He could finally go home. After many long years away, Victor returned to his country. The city had changed, but the address he remembered still existed. Near a coal factory, he saw a young man covered in dust finishing his shift. Victor's heart stopped. The young man looked exactly like the son he had left behind. Older, tired, but unmistakably his. "Melvin?" Victor whispered. The young man turned. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then his son ran forward and embraced him. Tears filled both their eyes. Together, they walked to a small, worn-down house in a crowded neighborhood. Inside, Victor's wife waited. Life had been hard, but she had never stopped believing he might come back. That night, the family that had lost everything was finally together again. Victor rebuilt their lives with the second chance he had been given. And though his life would not last forever, he spent his remaining years surrounded by the people he loved most. Sometimes people lose everything: their money, their reputation, their place in the world. But as long as they still have their gift and one person willing to believe in them, a second chance can change everything. And sometimes, the greatest comeback begins in the most unexpected place, even a subway station.